I'm like, oh, I need to delegate to elevate.
The constraint in the business is who, not what.
Her value in life is like people and relationships. I'm like, babe, but I am people and relationships.
And that's going to be the hardest part about being a coach is learning that you can't save them all. It's a lot of things that people don't realize how vulnerable you are in this industry.
David Wintzer, what's up, brother?
What's up, Jesse? How are you, man?
Dude, I'm doing great, man. So you've built a $20 million construction company in 2 years. Is that right?
That's right.
That's pretty insane, bro. Most people do not do that. You know?
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough that I live in a town where we can accommodate that. I live in a high luxury ski town where we're building luxury modern mountain ski homes. But yeah, it was a crazy time. It was during COVID and things exploded. It was really exciting and we got going pretty quick.
That's super crazy. So, bro, small ski town, is that Park City, Utah?
Yeah, Park City, Utah. We're just about 30 minutes east of Salt Lake City. And so this town has really exploded during COVID. There's a lot of money that's come in and people are just spending it like crazy in the home development business.
Love it, bro. So you're doing custom residential or some spec homes?
So we're doing custom residential and spec homes. So right now our model is we're doing 2 spec homes a year that our team invests in. And then, the rest are custom for private clients.
So what are these, like $5-6 million houses, or like what's going on?
Yeah, the spec houses we're doing, like our current spec house is listing price is going to be $3.7 million. And the custom homes that we're building for these clients are anywhere from $3 to $6 million.
Okay, cool. So what do you got? How many houses have you done? I mean, to get $20 million worth of revenue in a year, right? We're talking annual revenue, right?
Well, no. So right now, so it took us $20 million in the first 2 years, which equated to the first year we had $9 million. The second year we had $11 million, and this year we're tracking $12 million. And so we're building anywhere from 4 to 5 houses a year. I think 4s are kind of our sweet spot, but slowly we're going to start scaling this thing back so we can be doing fully custom builds and just working for ourselves, basically.
Okay, that's probably like a great dream, right? I mean, like it's cool to build stuff for clients, for other people, but it's also kind of cool to have full control. Maybe some people might say less stress, less client demands or needs. I mean, to me, I love working with clients. I love people, but there's always that, like I just built a bunch of spec homes I bought like 1.5 acres and did the development. I'm actually selling my last one in like 9 days now from today. So super exciting. I'll liquidate like $400,000 on that house. So that'd be really great. But there's definitely an element of like less stress, but a little bit, maybe less creativity because these were just like kind of cookie cutter houses, but it was a great investment. But are you doing a little bit more like custom? Like you like the design, like each house is different, or do you have like a system, a template? Because I'm a systems guy. Everyone knows that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
sure.
So are you like building them kind of like everyone's different?
Well, they're more custom. So my wife is the designer. So we pay her a designer fee. She's the realtor as well. So we got a lot of hands in the cookie jar, which is nice. But no, each one it's its own individual entity. They're very custom. They're high end. And we're of the model that we'd rather spend a little bit more money. We'd rather make $50,000 to $100,000 less to provide a product that has a really cool feature in it, whatever it is, some crazy slab wall or really cool shower that is going to be a selling point versus people are it's our name as well. So we don't want people getting a reputation that we're the guys out there building cheap spec houses.
Right. So what have you done to like systemize your business? I mean, I'm real curious. I love talking to contractors about systemization. I'm a commercial contractor mainly. And so you're a residential, spec home, custom home, whatever builder. So I'm sure there's like systems, processes. I'd like to know, to start, like how big is your team?
So there's just 3 of us, and I guess 4. We just brought on a girl we actually built a house for a client, and she's now part of our team, and she helps with the design management side of things.
Okay.
But as far as systems go, I come from the commercial world like you. So I worked for a $1 billion company, and these guys are building sports stadiums and hospitals and college campuses and corporate campuses, like big buildings, $100 million plus. And I'm kind of a systems guy too. I know that to run an efficient business, especially a construction business, you have to have the standard operating procedures in place. Simple as that. And as you know, especially in the commercial world, there's a lot more red tape. And so there's a lot more things that have to happen. And I just sat back and kind of watched how these guys scheduled their jobs, how they staffed their jobs, how they hosted these meetings, the OAC meetings, how they how they did it. And I brought it to this little residential company.
For those of you who don't know, it's owner, architect, and contractor meetings all in one meeting. OAC.
Yep. Excuse me. Yeah. So it's where you get the owner, the architect, and the contractor in the same room, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, however big the project is, and everyone just communicates the details in the drawings and the roadblocks, things that need to be done, the pay apps, all that stuff. And so putting those systems from $1 billion company from the commercial world into a small residential company it's pretty simple when you think about it. You just got to follow the system. And what I realized quickly is as we started working with architects, we were the only ones doing this. There's no other contractors in our area or in residential for that matter doing this. And so it just gives you a leg up that most people don't understand.
Maybe let's talk through some of like systems specifically for like to help the audience, right? Like that's the whole goal of us two guys sitting here. What's an example of a system for maybe a superintendent? Let's just say like, daily logs every day, or this is the way to, fill out a accident report, or this is how to do a toolbox talk, so your toolbox talks, like your OSHA reports, like,
yep.
What are some examples that you have seen or run into that you're implementing in your business?
I mean, you hit the nail on the head with the first one. The daily log is big. I mean, it's a lot of things that people don't realize how vulnerable you are in this industry to legality and things that could happen. And so when you have that documentation of things that happen every day, one, but two, it helps you. So the client, none of our clients, which is crazy, not one of our clients lives in our town. And so we got Chicago, Florida, California, Florida. And so for us to be able to upload these daily logs gives them the opportunity to see the progress without having to check in.
Are they building like vacation homes, or are they?
Yeah, they're all second homes.
Oh, dude, that's crazy to have an extra $6 million. Be like,
there's a lot of money coming in, man. It's crazy.
Wow.
I mean, Park City's always had a lot of money, but now we're meeting billionaires. It's crazy how the type of money that's coming into this town.
Yeah. Okay.
But so the daily logs, I'd say, is a big one. But then the second one is for me is just the folder system, and I call it like touching the product once. And so when you get an email, like with the superintendent gets information about the project, whether it's the tile selection or what a drawing from from an RFI request for information for the audience, information that is needed, and they get that and it sits in their inbox or it sits in that text message. Now it's not in a system that everybody can follow. And so if they touch it more than once, i.e. they got to touch it and then I'm asking for it, they're texting it to me, and then Jesse's asking for it, we're texting it to Jesse, versus you take that the first time you receive it and you put it in the folder system. So we have the folder system of the deferred submittals, which is every selection that's ever been made in the house.
Well, hold on. Are you just doing this on like Google Drive or whatever?
Yeah, we do it on OneDrive via Microsoft. Same thing. Yeah. So it's just a cloud-based software. And so it's just like I went in and I just built the entire system. And so I was like, okay, whatever's been selected, whatever's been communicated, any revisions of drawings, all that needs to go into the folder system immediately. You touch it one time.
Do you not use like Buildertrend or Procore or?
We do use Buildertrend. We don't use it to its full advantage. We should use it better, but we use it for scheduling, daily logs, like clocking in, and as far as billing goes, it wasn't as, I don't know how your system is on it, not to go deep into Buildertrend, but we found it was more catered to a subcontractor when it comes to setting up bids and proposals and then billing through QuickBooks that way.
Dude, 100%. Not maybe sub, but more residential. I mean, well, you're residential, but for me as a commercial GC, it's super limited. That's why I'm going to build Structure, which is my new software coming out probably like 2025, but I'm going to try to get it done sooner. Dude, super exciting. Have you not heard about that?
Can I just give a quick shout out to the audience? How insanely busy and active you are as an entrepreneur and as a human. You have a software, coaching, podcast, all this stuff. I mean, dude, it takes a lot.
Honestly, bro,
I love watching you go.
On a personal note, my wife hates it.
I don't doubt it.
Like, dude, my wife's like, you just work all the time. She's the one, this is a side trail real fast, but she's just like one that doesn't like to work a whole lot. Her value in life is like people and relationships. I'm like, babe, but I am people and relationships. I do podcasts. I do business with people. I'm like really close with all my employees, like Clay and Mark and Ron and all these guys, like Len, like those are my people, like she's like, no, but like you should go bowling with. I'm like, but babe, you're not getting anything done. Like I like to like be productive. Anyway, so we need marriage counseling. No, but we're other than that, we're like so happy. She's amazing. It's just like I work too much. So okay, back to like Buildertrend is like as a commercial GC, right? I still use that same Excel template, the pay application template, that I've had for years and just PDF it, send it like in an email. Like my office manager literally just like at the end of every month or the beginning, whatever, we send it to all of our clients and we're like, okay, this is on a schedule of values. What percent did we get done, of division 9? Maybe it's drywall, metal framing, all the finishes, division 9. Division 1, general conditions. Division 2, 3, 4, 5, everything, electrical, plumbing, mechanical. We just did bill for what we got done that month, and then we send it in. And there's retainage. Sometimes we try to avoid the retainage, but sometimes there is retainage to like 5 or 10% of held back on the amount, which you get at the end of the project. So we input that into Builder Trend as like an owner invoice, and so it still kind of goes in Builder Trend, but the software I'm going to build, like it's eventually going to it's going to take over Procore and Builder Trend. It's going to combine Procore and Builder Trend and then add my own little flair. But it's also going to be.
So are you just hiring developers to do this for you?
Yeah. So I built a whole Figma file, which is not to like dive too deep into like the software, but like pretty much like I have like a structure, like a clickable prototype. I built a prototype of what I want it to like do and look like. And it's going to be like a roadmap of like what it's going to actually like be. And as far as the product development roadmap. So like I'm going to start with tasks. Then I'm going to start with like, meeting structure. Then I'm going to start with like building a form structure. So like fillable forms that can be editable by admins, and there's going to be an admin portal. There's going to be places for superintendents and project managers and et cetera to log in. And it's going to be very role specific. So it's going to have all the roles in the company: superintendent, project manager, admin, bookkeeper, estimator. So anyway, I'm excited for that. Also super excited about like the coaching that I'm launching. I know you're doing some coaching too. For what, like you probably are more catered towards like a residential guy that wants to do custom homes. I'm more catered towards like, I'll do the residential guys. Don't get me wrong with like systems, processes, but like if you're trying to get to commercial and automate your construction business so it can run without you, that's like the essence of my whole program. Pretty much giving them like a delegation framework, admin and bookkeeping, and then superintendent. Those are the first two you want to greenlight, because the CEO, and I'm talking a lot here, but the CEO should never be on site in the field as a superintendent. Not that he shouldn't go on site, but I'm just saying never on site as a superintendent, or he should never be doing the admin and bookkeeping. So those are the first two things you delegate. And then like, this is part of my new program here that I'm launching actually like this week or two. It's already started. It got 4 or 5 people in there and it's awesome. We're doing group calls and stuff. But the next step is we evaluate the CEO's strengths and weaknesses. So we say the next 4 are marketing, sales, estimating, and project management. So we start with admin and bookkeeping, which is one thing, and then superintendent, which is another thing. And then we assess strengths and weaknesses and we see, do you like to market and sell? Great. And then those are purple. So you're doing it. So then we greenlight estimating a project manager. Maybe we get you an estimator, project manager hybrid. And so once those are all greenlit or purple, like meaning you're handling as a CEO, we move into, and greenlit meaning processes are built and the role is filled. That's it. Then we move into COO. We bring on a COO and help you train him or her, whatever, to run admin, bookkeeping, superintendent, marketing, sales, estimating, and project management. Then at that point, you're still the CEO, but you have a turnkey construction company that you can sell, drink pina coladas, operate as the CEO, more hands-on, kind of spend more time with your family, friends. So anyway, jessylane.com is the place to get that. But I mean, anyway, I want to hear more about you and your program even, I know you have a course. But
yeah, well, I mean, I like to ask you on that, so I'm building a course for, I have a course for general contractors in the residential sector. And I feel like that, especially in residential, you correct me if I'm wrong, but coming from the commercial world, it's just more refined. It's a more well-oiled machine, we'll call it, the commercial world versus the residential. And residential is just a little more flip phone and notepad and less systems and processes. And so where I feel that this industry lacks as a whole, and I'd be curious from your standpoint on the commercial side, I really feel that a lot of individuals are out there in the field working and they see how much money Jesse's making. And let's just say they're framing houses or something and they're making 60 grand a year and they see that their boss Jesse's making 500 grand a year and they're like, well, I can do what Jesse does. And the reality is they know how to frame a house. They know how to plumb a house. They know how to build a house A to Z. And they're right. They know how to do what Jesse knows how to do physically, but they don't know what it takes to run a business. And so they go out and they run this business and they quickly realize all the things that go into it, the estimating, the proposals, the billing, the taxes, the marketing, the sales, the everything. And they start getting overwhelmed. And because of it, they just start sucking at running a business. And the person that ends up suffering the most is clients. And I get phone calls literally on a monthly basis from family and friends saying, hey, my friend's GC sucks. Can you bail them out? They're really struggling. And it's really sad, but people kind of go in and they get bamboozled by these guys that really do have good intentions usually, but they just get caught in the wheel of not knowing how to run the business, and therefore the project and the client suffers. And so are you seeing a common theme like that in the commercial world?
Well, definitely more residential, because that's the intro to commercial. Unless you're like just born, your dad did commercial and you're just raised in the commercial world doing build outs or whatever, or hospitals, like, how crazy, skyscrapers, even, whatever. That's like the top of the game for me. But like residential is kind of like where even I started, and I learned how to do everything with residential, and it's just kind of like the entry point. So there are I hate to say it this way, but there kind of are a lot of bottom feeders, kind of like chucking a truck's out there with his notepad. And literally I started this way. Like I was Jesse in a truck with like this little thing with all this paper in it. I'm just like, okay, it's my first week owning a construction company. And I did a little $1,600 job, like a trim carpentry thing, like whatever. Like that's how I started,
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, I need to delegate to elevate. So I was like, I'll never elevate if I don't delegate. And I just started realizing like the little things in my life, not even like before business. I'm talking the first thing in business is like admin and bookkeeping, and then your superintendent. But even before that is mowing your own lawn, And for me, I was single, so it was getting meal prep. And so a lot of my old videos are like, you should get meal prep and you should delegate all of these little personal things, right? So that's where I started. And that's what I would recommend to an 18 to 21-year-old. Doesn't matter really how old you are, but maybe, just anyone starting a construction company is make sure that your personal crap, you're not doing $10 to $20 to $30 to $40 to $50 an hour work ever. Cause it's just not worth it. And so, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm headed with the coaching is I just see that there's a big gap between these individuals who really do have good intentions and they're really good at building houses and they're really good at their craft, but they just need a little bit of hand-holding in the business side of things. And then if we can help them, it only helps this industry. And I think there's a lot of good individuals like you and other people out there that are spreading the good word of how to run a business, because it's hard. Entrepreneurship is really hard.
It's extremely difficult, bro.
It's extremely difficult. And a lot of people don't realize it until they get buried in it. And I do these calls, these sales calls with these contractors all the time, and they're hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. They're buried in paperwork, and they just don't know they don't know where to go. And it's sad because I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship and what it can do for an individual. And I think without entrepreneurs, this country fails.
Yeah, dude, that's right. I talked to a guy. It was on a sales call. He wanted to learn about coaching, and he's like, he's never hired an employee. And this is someone who has invested into my systems and processes and has bought my templates and all these things and been following me for a long time. He's been in business 3 years, something like that, doing a little over $1 million, right? And he's never hired an employee. And I was like, bro, you're doing all your own bookkeeping. You're doing anything that's admin related, anything, he's doing it all. He's the superintendent. He's also the project manager and estimator. He's also selling all the projects, and he's also struggling with social media and marketing and all that stuff. So I'm like, he's like, I just don't have the time. What do I do? I'm like, bro, make these hires. You know what I'm saying? Admin and bookkeeping, and then superintendent. That's what I teach. And I teach how to do it in my coaching program. I walk people through within the program, but because it takes a lot to even know, I'm going to hire a superintendent. Okay, great. I hired a superintendent. Well, he wasn't qualified. He doesn't even know how wide and how thick a 2x4 is because you didn't give him a construction knowledge quiz. He doesn't do daily logs because you didn't set the expectation for that. And now you're struggling. And now he's out there smoking cigarettes, throwing them on the ground because you didn't set all these expectations up for the person. And he doesn't even know all the systems, the process, where the buttons are to download files and templates. And, it's going to turn into chaos if you don't set it up ahead of time for success. But I said to my wife, I was like, yeah, this guy, really care for him. But he's he's paying himself like 60 grand a year, like whatever it was out of the company. And that was like, if you're only making like 120 in the business or like whatever, like net profit on 1.2 million, that's 10%. There's not a whole lot left over, like still like pay, like keep your life going. So she was like, she asked me a hard question, my wife, like, what would you recommend to someone who literally doesn't? I'm like, the problem is he's not selling and marketing, or marketing and selling in that order. And so if you don't have sales, you don't have lifeblood in your business.
You don't have a business.
And if you don't do marketing, you'll never get leads to then sell. So I was like, I would get a loan. Like if you are not selling, if you're not selling and marketing that, and you're doing admin work, get a $25,000 line of credit from Chase or Wells Fargo and go, that gives you a runway of $3,800 a month, or like, well, I don't know, whatever the number is for your admin lady. Go hire some lady named Paula or Debbie or whatever. You know, my office manager's name is Crystal. Doesn't matter what their name is. But once they're installed and trained and up and running, boom, you just freed your whole plate to go market and sell. Then you actually will grow your company. But that's the entrepreneurial risk. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
it is a risk.
Yeah, you
and
have to.
People get nervous about it.
Yes, because you have to have a clear plan, a business plan to say, I'm not just getting a loan just to like, I don't know what to do with this loan. Then you squander it. Then you're even worse. You have to know that you're going to spend more time marketing and selling, and then you're going to grow your company if you can sell.
You know, I heard something when it came to coaching recently, and because like you said, like you really cared for this guy, and you're like, bro, this is what you got to do. You got to go out and get this admin, take that line of credit, do whatever the bottleneck is for that person. You can give them the advice, but it was eye-opening to me. And they said like, there's going to be A, B, and C players, and you're going to give the same advice to all three of them. And the C player is going to go say that Jesse's course didn't work and Jesse sucked because it didn't work for Jesse, or it didn't work for him. And where the A player got the same piece of information and he goes and scales that $1.2 million company to $5 million in 2 years or whatever it is.
That's it.
And you can't latch on to the results of everyone because not everyone's going to put in the work, and you can give them the best advice, but they're not going to do it. And that's going to be the hardest part about being a coach is learning that you can't save them all. Yeah.
Yeah. How many people have you coached so far in your program or whatever?
I got 11 so far.
And it's a course.
It's a course with, there's weekly Zoom calls. We do 3 Zoom calls a week. And when they first log in, they get 2 one-on-one sessions with me. And then it's weekly Zoom calls, and we cover each Zoom call covers a certain topic. So if you want to learn about sales and marketing, you log in on Monday. If you want to learn about estimating and accounting, you log in on Wednesday, and then Friday's project management, all that stuff. So
that's cool.
And then there's 56 videos that I've recorded over the course of a year. Do
you go over the same content that's like you're going over in the course in those live calls, and you answer questions? Yeah,
but they're a little more catered. You know, it's a lot of it. Like last week, I had a gentleman, and he's his partnership is kind of failing. So he was dealing with legal contracts and how to go through the legal contracts. So I was reading the legal contracts with him and how he was going to basically separate his partnership and go off on his own, which was really scary to him. But we kind of got a financial plan together and how we're going to get him a couple more jobs through sales and marketing, like you said, and then getting that contract in place to go to, sever that relationship.
Love it. Okay. So are you the estimator? Are you the salesman? Are you the marketer? Are you the project manager for your company? Do you have superintendents?
Yeah, we have a superintendent, and we have a second round of interviews next week with a couple other superintendents. We're going to hire our second superintendent. And then we have an office manager gal that she does kind of project management, selections, owner relations. I do the estimating, the sales and marketing, and then like the overall just, I guess high level CEO type stuff. And then my business partner does the accounting, and he's an engineer. So he does a lot of our shop drawings and all that stuff.
Okay. So you have a business partner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. That's good. So I was worried that it was just like you and 2 other people kind of like wrangling this thing.
No. So yeah, my business partner, we started this together, and he's a structural engineer by trade. So he comes with a lot more knowledge about the building side that I have a lot more on the business side. So I'm out managing the relationships with the clients and stuff, and he's kind of in the details and communicating with the guys in the field.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it.
So, I mean, Jesse, I'm curious, like what are you seeing in this industry, and where it's going, and why this industry is so flawed as a whole? I mean, construction, in my opinion, it's one of the most flawed industries out there. And why is it so far behind the times of everything else, like manufacturing and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like construction is the second slowest industry to evolve. The first one is the school system. It's literally like 100 years old, where they trained people to be industrial workers on a factory line. And that's why I sucked at school so bad, because they're like, get in line and fit in the box and do the test and remember everything. I'm like, no, I don't need to remember everything. I have Siri. I'm just kidding. Didn't back then, but it's like, I love technology, bro. And I think that's the problem. The biggest problem with the construction industry is it's a lot of these guys, man. They're just like, again, go back to chucking a truck, right? They are on paper. A lot of the people that I talk to, like that are interested in my coaching and stuff like that, are stuck on paper, or they have maybe spreadsheets or something like that. And that's just not really enough to really build a successful construction company. And that is why I'm building Structure software, which again, like should be out 2025 is the goal. And it's going to provide structure for construction companies, and it's going to be easy to use. And so that's what I see, man, is that's my problem. And I'm attacking it. My goal is to like help this industry, man. Like that's like my life calling, is like help the construction industry evolve. And I want to build construction companies just like Tesla and just like Google, or, just like these companies that are, like Uber or whatever. Just like, I always like to think of J-Lane Construction like a tech company, but like it's not. But I just was using like, project management software like Buildertrend. But like now I'm going to actually have my own software company. So I'm like really excited about that. And so we'll just see where it goes, man. I mean, it's going to change the industry, I hope.
Yeah, I hope so too. I mean, technology is definitely, it's a disruptor in this industry, but I always say, like, it doesn't matter what system you use. It actually matters that you use the system. And so
it actually comes down to your organization skills, because you can have Google Drive. You could start with Google Drive and spreadsheets, Google Sheets and Google Docs, all within Google Drive. But if you don't actually have your file structure, like you were talking about earlier, in order, then you're not going to win. So you have to start with that mindset. Yeah, it's not like my software is going to fix everything. It's like, it's the mentality of the contractor is what's going to actually fix their company. So here's one hack. In your Google Drive, I put numbers now at the beginning of my folder name. So I'm like,
I do the same thing.
Really? So I'm like,
yes.
1 dot and then a space. And I'm like, whatever the folder name is, 2 dot, whatever the space, or you can put a dash, or like whatever. But like, if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, etc., everything's in order, and exactly, oh, boom, boom, boom. So my whole like construction company, Google Drive, because we still use Google Drive, is set up on a numbered system.
We're the same exact way. And we also use colors. I'm a big color guy. So every 100%. Project of ours is based around color. So I know when I look at a calendar, or if I look at a folder system or whatever, I know if it's purple, red, blue, green. Just by looking at the color from a distance, I know we're talking about this project.
On that note, I would do Buildertrend calendars, job schedules, and Gantt view. Yellow was electrical, blue was plumbing for water, Originally yellow was electrical for Romex, even though we obviously run MC cable and, commercial stuff. But like green was HVAC, like whatever, like, I had like drywall was gray. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And you could see I'm doing this because it's like rough in and trim out. So it's like electrical rough, yellow, electrical trim, yellow. So it's like, oh, cool. I can just like, boom, see it. So anywhere you can streamline, what are some ways that you've figured out that, or you're coaching people or whatever, to streamline their construction company?
I mean, well, as far as, what we just said, like my biggest streamline is color. And so my biggest thing when it comes to project management and streamlining is we do a 3-week look ahead. And so every Monday morning we sit down and we just map out what's coming up the next 3 weeks. And we do the same thing with color, like brown is framing, gray is concrete. And so when you look, you can't see it behind me, but we have a 3-week board in our office that's just a big whiteboard and with these little blocks, and that's our little mini Gantt chart that we build every 3 weeks, and that's just the streamlined process. And then as we're going through that exercise, it immediately goes into the Google Calendar. And so it's just a constant communication of what's coming up, what's happening, and then everybody has that real-time information in their phone. So that's kind of the streamlined process that we use. And then another little hack that we've gotten into, it's so simple, but Apple Notes on your phone. And
dude, I love Apple Notes. Love it.
And then everyone on the team is there, and we even if we just log in via a 3-way phone call or something, we update it right there, and we can put @Jesse, and it alerts you, and then you just check the box when it's complete, and everyone knows it's done. And then tomorrow we'll do it again, and it's just whatever system it is, it can be as simple as the notes on your phone. It doesn't have to be a
Yeah.
complex software that you use to be successful in this
Yeah,
industry.
it's so true. I mean, I would say recommendation to the audience is just keep it simple, like David's saying. Use Apple Notes, use Google Docs, use Gmail the right way. Snooze your emails, bro. If you don't have to do it right now, snooze your email to next
Have you ever
week.
used Boomerang on Gmail?
No. What's that?
Boomerang's a hack on Gmail too. So it's a free downloadable
Chrome
what's the
extension
plugin that you use, and like you said, you snooze the emails. But what
Yeah.
Boomerang can do is, if you send me something about like a tile selection, I'm like, I don't need to see that for 2 more months.
Yeah.
I can send back to my inbox in 2 months, and then it just disappears. And 2 months later, it's at the top of your inbox. So you can snooze it till tomorrow morning. You can, or I can say, if Jesse doesn't reply in 3 days, send this back to the top of my inbox. And so when I'm reaching out to clients or subcontractors trying to get bids, I do that. If I don't see a response in 3-4 days, whatever it is, it kicks it back. And then I can be like, oh, Jesse never sent me that bid. Hey, Jesse, following up.
So I wouldn't be able to live without that. And I mean, Gmail, that's what snoozing is. You just snooze it. So like, even if I send an email and I'm like, okay, this is my responsibility, but I'm delegating, you can go into your sent folder, or you could just, that little Gmail thing that pops up at the bottom left. It's like, view the message you just sent. You could click that real fast and then click snooze and be like, a week from now, or like 5 days or a month or whatever it is. And then it'll pop up at the top of your inbox, and all my snoozed emails are at the top. I'm like, oh yeah, great. You know what? I don't need to hit this till next month. Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
And then I never just archive stuff that I'm responsible for. That's like how a lot of people fail, is because it's their ultimate responsibility. They've delegated it and they don't snooze it to follow up. Because snoozing is called, I like to think of it as a concept of kicking the can down the road.
Totally. And, you mentioned Siri earlier, and I, all the time, I'll be talking with Jesse on site, and he's like, hey, can you give me this detail from the architect? And I'll just say, hey, Siri, remind me in 1 hour, or when I get back to my office, remind me of this detail. And I do that, and 99% of people are like, how'd you do that? And I'm like,
it's crazy.
What? And so it's that simple, that if you're just using something, like if you're not good at remembering, you don't have a pen and paper, whatever, just use your phone. The technology's right there.
Bro, don't ever use a pen and paper. Like for me, actually, that's not true. When I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like brainstorming, I have to my first stop of brain to something is either a whiteboard or pen and paper. Because I grab a bunch of printer paper. I'm like diagramming stuff and like taking notes real fast on a call. But it always gets to either Apple Notes, Google Docs, or Siri reminders. My reminders, bro, are categorized. So I have Jesse Lane Consulting. I have J Lane Construction. I have social media, or on my YouTube, like, oh, I got a quick idea, boom. But I have an Apple Note folder with green lights, yellow lights, and red lights. Green lights are ready to film. Yellow lights are topics and videos I'm about to have a full script for. And red lights, just like the little emoji in the circle, the red circle.
Yep.
In front of the title. So it categorizes, again, if I sort/filter by name or by title, it's going to do green and then yellow and then red.
So now I want to learn this hack to the audience. This is how you get better. You ask questions. So I use notifications, reminders every day, but I didn't know you could categorize them. So are you going in and physically categorizing them?
Oh, yeah. So I'll show you. I mean, I probably can't. I'm not going to share my screen. I'll mess up the recording. But long story short, like, which my brightness up. Long story short. So it's like scheduled. So here's like, I have, unfortunately, can you see this? I
can see it.
319 open reminders because I use all the time at General Reminders, Contractor Summit, which is in 2025.
So when you're saying Siri, remind me, are you putting that, remind me for Contractor Summit?
Actually, it goes into my General Reminders and I sit there and categorize
it. You got to
them.
go categorize it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe there's a way to do it. I haven't figured that out yet. But you can also tag things. Like I have an assistant tag. So like my virtual assistant will like, that's the ones for her, and I make sure. So anytime I'm like, hey, I have a great idea, put it reminders, and then boom, like later I'm going through my reminders all the time. Because if you just click, you can click into these categories, and like under J Lane Construction, I have marketing, like different drop downs, right? Systems, future ideas, financial, different stuff. But also just like under scheduled, if you click that, it's going to be a running list. I'm a little bit behind, but that's past due, and then there's today. But then it'll just go the next day and then the next day. But if you don't have anything, it's just going to skip to the next week or whatever you have them scheduled for. Because you have to schedule. There's 3 things: what it is, what the reminder is and the day and the time. And you have to say those things when you're telling Siri. So it's like, remind me to X at, Tuesday at 3 p.m.
Yep.
So then it'll be there at Tuesday, 3 p.m. But if you want to move it, just click the little information eye, click, next month or next week, and make it 5 p.m. or like whatever. And then you click done, and it's done. And it just moves it. Then you can go to like the scheduled thing and see all the things that are like coming up. And you could like review your next week on like all the reminders that you remind yourself. And I'm like, that's a great thing to do when you're pooping.
Yeah, he's right. And to the audience, like, this isn't hard stuff. You don't have to learn a new software. You're literally speaking in your phone. Remind me Tuesday the 3rd at 3 p.m. that I have this appointment, and it'll remind you. And it's these little hacks that people aren't utilizing in their businesses that keep them ahead. And because let's be honest, as a contractor, you have a ton of stuff coming at you every single second of every single day. And if you can just use that to just say, okay, I've now delegated that to Siri and my reminders, I can forget about it and not
She's not
worry
going
that
to drop
you're
it.
going to forget something.
She's not going to drop it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. You're like, you have a human assistant. She could potentially drop it. There's physically no way that Siri will ever forget.
You're right. It's 100% true. And people
when you're laying there at night, people are like, oh yeah, I get up, turn the light on, grab my pen. I always have a piece of paper right by my bedstand. I'm like, bro, what the actual crap? You just need to set up, hey Siri. Don't. If you say those words and your phone's upright and you have the setting on, you just say those 2 words and then you just say, remind me to, and then you go the 3 things. Thing, day, and time.
Another thing your wife gets annoyed about, probably. Middle of the night. Hey, Siri.
Actually, I used to do that more when I was single. So maybe that's not a hack for the married folk out there, which I've actually been doing that a lot less. I actually open my reminders app and I type it manually because my wife's like half asleep. Another big thing is filters in Gmail. So it's like, and this is good stuff, bro. It's so simple, but it's simple to like, I think me and you, but like, if you're on an email list, right? Like say, for example, you're on my list or David's list or whatever. And you're like, I want to get these emails, but like, I don't need my, like it blown up right here. Open that email, click the 3 dots. I'm talking in Gmail right now. Say filter messages like this. Then it's going to pull that list. It's a custom list thing. And then you're going to say, you can search the blue button and it's going to, okay, you can verify that it's pulling the right ones. And then you can go back and you can add a couple extra little filters if you need to, but then click create filter, skip inbox / archive it, and then create a new label and then done. And then every time you get an email, make sure it doesn't say jesse@jesselane.com, by the way. Cause anyway, because you don't want to miss messages that are actually coming from me. But there's certain lists that you'll see all these like crazy numbers and stuff like that. Like Gmail will know it's like part of a list. So make sure it's that if you're going to do mine. But, or else if I email you, won't get it. But like lists that you're on, then you could put the name, be like, oh, these are, this guy's emails that I don't want to miss. I do it with Builder Trend. And so like owner invoices, daily logs, sub payments or payments approved, or like things that I want to see, but I don't need like blowing up my inbox urgently. I make a label for it, and I filter it straight to that label.
And I do those labels as well in color once again. So color's my thing. And so every single house, when we start a house, the first thing I do is, all right, what's the color of this house? Is it pink? Is it blue? And so everything goes into a folder that's that color in the Gmail calendar, whatever it is. And so when that email comes in and I just drag over that label. So when I'm looking in my inbox, I don't have to filter through all the words of like, where's Jesse? Where's Jesse? I can just see blue labels. And I know that every blue label pertains to Jesse's house. And so I got blue, pink, yellow, whatever it is. And I can scroll through as I'm looking through these emails. And I know per color what house I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. I love it, bro. That's why I started with the Mac course. That was the first course I ever created, how to use an Apple computer. Because it goes into like Gmail settings and reminders and just like every like Chrome and like all these things, how to get your settings right on your system preferences and like just like how to use Finder and like how to edit photos and preview and how to, so I started with that. And then I built a marketing course so I'm kind of like, hey, tech skills. And then the first step in a construction flow, because the first step is marketing, and then it's sales, then it's estimating, then it's project management, and then it's admin and bookkeeping. And that's it. It just starts from the top. There's only
Yep.
5 things. There's 5 things in it. Yeah.
Let me ask you if I can about, as you're getting into this coaching world, and I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, and as far as the online content, and you've been had a lot of individuals with your contractor summit and stuff. You have had a lot of conversations with contractors. What do you think is like one of the most common themes or limiting beliefs that these guys have in their business?
Not being willing to hire.
Not being willing to hire.
They're scared. So it's fear of hiring because they're stuck doing admin, back to the example before, and they don't have enough time. But I was like, what I said to this guy, I was like, people, you can buy that from people, right? It's called getting an employee, and they'll give you 40 or 50 hours of it. And he's like,
Yep.
Right. And I'm like, I don't have any time. The answer for that is go buy it from someone.
I love that. I just went to an event for acquisition.com with Alex Hermosi, and they did a whole thing on hiring. And the biggest thing I took out of it was the constraint in the business is who, not what. And sometimes you're the who, and like you said, like you're stuck in just doing it by yourself. Like, oh, I can't give that away. I can't give that away. But you need to find the right who, or the who in your business that you hired, this superintendent, or they suck. And so you got to get rid of that person. And so, the who was the biggest thing that I took out of it. It is the constraint in your business. And so, you're right.
The who.
Yeah, like going back to what you were saying, like the biggest constraint is hiring for people. I think one of the biggest constraints of people I talk to is it's just the belief that they don't have what it takes to do it. And what it takes is, as we started this conversation out, like, you're always busy, Jesse. You're always doing stuff, as am I. I mean, we're recording this thing on a Sunday, and it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of dedication and a lot of time.
Sacrifice.
And I believe that everybody has what it takes if they're willing to put in the time. And for everyone out there that is wanting to start a construction company or struggling to grow their construction company, you got to just find the things that are the bottlenecks, but then you got to spend your precious time of giving up Sunday football or going out with friends on a Friday night or whatever it is, and you got to put that time into your business because no one's going to do it for you. And entrepreneurship is amazing, but it's really, really hard, and it takes a lot of sacrifice, and you got to be willing to do it if you want to be successful.
I love it. And that's what a lot of my early YouTube videos were all about, because my first 3 to 5 years of running a construction company was no Netflix, no video games, not much of hanging out with friends. You still have to hang out with friends, and go watch a show once a week or once a month or whatever is best for you, or every 2 weeks. But like, if you actually want to get ahead and be successful and not fail, it's going to take, unless you have a bunch of money, then just go ahead and make all those admin, bookkeeping, superintendent, marketing, sales, estimating, and project management. Go ahead, fill it up, and then get a COO. Get a COO first if you have the money. If you have 150 grand or like whatever it is, depending on your market, where you live in the country, maybe it's 100, maybe it's 250, like, I don't know. But like, go ahead and hire it all. But if you don't have the money to like go ahead and fill all those roles, then it's going to take your personal time, because you could buy time, but you can't buy time if you don't have the stuff to buy it with. Currency.
Yep.
So,
and if you're listening to this, in my opinion, you're a little bit ahead of the game. If you're watching Jesse on YouTube, if you're doing these things, you're a little bit ahead of the game. But I speak to so many individuals where I'm like, well, tell me what you're filling your time up with in your mind, and no one listens to content. And it doesn't have to be construction content. It can be self-help or business or entrepreneurship, whatever it is. But like, educate yourself to become better. Don't be taking that. If you're taking that commute and listening to music, take that commute and listen to a podcast that's going to teach you something about something.
And you know what's cool about this moment right here is they're here. You guys are here with us right now. You've watched this far into the podcast. Yeah. So I feel like we're almost preaching to the choir, because the people that are here right now, what's up? Good for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, watching stuff that's edifying your mind. You're learning how to systemize your construction company with technology. You're hearing from a guy who just did, 20 million in sales with all these custom homes over the last couple of years. This is it, man. I mean, I'm so glad to be here.
It's just education and growing and we live in a time today where there's so much information, and just pick your flavor and whatever you want to listen to and consume. It doesn't matter if you're doing it via YouTube, podcast, Instagram. Just grow, just learn. Don't be scrolling through and on mindless stuff. Figure out a way to get better.
And don't be doing fantasy football, bro. Football is bad enough sitting there watching, all tracking all this. I mean, it's fine if you're like, that's your like one like resort mentally. go for it. But you have to prioritize, if you want to be successful in business, having a business. But then like, dude, if you're doing like fantasy football, like on top of that, like no offense if you love that and that's like your one thing, but if you're like also watching Netflix and you're also playing like 3 hours of video games and you're also trying to, that's all fine. But if you're also trying to run a construction company and build it from scratch, make some adjustments.
Yeah, so it's all fine. If that's your jam, that's cool, but don't expect to get a result of being successful financially in your construction business. Love it, bro.
So where can people find you, man?
DavidWintzer.com or $20 million or 20mcontractor.com.
20mcontractor.com. They get the course, you know.
Yep. Come on over. Coaching. And yeah, I'm just like you, Jesse. I'm grateful that you'd allow me to be on this show, and I've been watching you for years, and I love what you're doing for the entrepreneurs and the contractors out there, and we need you.
I appreciate that. I'm here to like help the industry. You know, if you want to come to me for coaching, now that I'm offering it, if you want to go to David for coaching, if you really vibe with David, then go to David. You know, like this is like whatever we can do to make you successful, rock and roll. So leave a like. Thanks for watching this far, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.